I'm so excited to be back with you guys today for this amazing Maison Voyage podcast episode. Again, I am Vanessa Cromer, the luxury travel advisor and the founder of Maison Voyage magazine and now the podcast. I'm so excited to introduce our guest today for the podcast. She is a lovely friend here locally who is just fabulous. I can't wait to learn more about her today. So I'm going to let Josefina introduce herself today. Tell us about your luxury travel business, how long you've been doing it, kind of the intro to your business, and then let's segue into the topic today, which will be luxury wine country in Spain. So take it away, my friend.
Hi, well, thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast. I'm really excited. My name is Josefina Melendez. I was a military spouse for 23 years and government employee for 15. That was my first exposure to the tourism industry while we were stationed in Italy. I was the director for the tickets and travel office on base. And I got to do some really cool stuff. I took 27 people to see the Northern Lights in Finland, 40 people to see Andrea Bocelli in concert, and lots of wineries on the weekends. I've always loved travel, but that sort of cemented my experience as a professional in the tourism industry. Once we, came back to the United States and my husband retired, I started X-Plora Travel, with the mission of really inspiring people to see the world. I want them to experience, the touristy and the not so touristy. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh my goodness. And so tell our viewers too, as far as a couple little tidbits about yourself, because I know you also do locally here in St. Augustine. You do something on the side. So that's really cool.
I do. I work for a company called the Tasting Tours, and we do food and wine tours here locally in St. Augustine. We do walking tours, and we do tours in the little golf carts as well.
Love it.
And I love that because I get to spend time with new people from all over the country.
People traveling to where we live, which is
so
kind of crazy because it's like we live here and we kind of take it for granted, right? Yeah.
We do. And I love just wandering around St. Augustine. St. Augustine is the oldest city in the country. The Spaniards arrived here 65 years before the British arrived in Plymouth. So there's so much history and there's so much to see here. And I know sometimes when we tell our Italian friends that, our little city was founded in the 1500s, they go, oh, wow, that's pretty new.
Exactly. That's like modern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to us, it's not. And then, you still have that Gilded Era history that's here locally that we get to share with the guests that are participating on this tasting tours. And the cuisine here in town has come such a long way in the last 15 years. I mean, this year alone, we have, I think Jacksonville and St. Augustine both have chefs that are in the shortlist for the James Beard Award this year.
Yeah.
So one is Lotus Noodle Bar, and the other one is Chancho King in Jacksonville.
Yes.
So there's just very interesting new ideas coming in. And then you have, like Pesca and Michael's and La Novelle, which are just, they've been around for a little bit longer, but still amazing meals. Yeah. And it's a great little side gig. I love the team. I love working for those ladies.
Yes.
They're just, one of them was military spouse.
Okay.
And they have a great team of tour guides, that we're all licensed, by the city of St. Augustine. It's great. And I get to eat, drink, and talk to people. I know.
And I'm just sitting here thinking how can I pencil? Can you get me in contact? I'm not qualified to lead those tours, I'll be honest. But when I saw that you were doing that, I was like, you know what? I just love you even more. It's just, and what a beautiful segue into today's topic, but also real quick, your beautiful accent. We have to touch on that. Tell us more. Where are you from? Tell us all that, because you just speak so beautifully. So I would love the viewers to know. Yeah.
So I was born and raised in Rancagua, Chile, which is in my mind, is a small city. A lot of people that I've taken there to visit, they go like, this is not small at all. But it's a small city about an hour south of the capital.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was 16 years old. And then I came to the United States as an exchange student, first to Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
And, I went home after the year and it just didn't feel like home anymore.
Right.
So I ended up here in Jacksonville going to college, only for literally, 2 years to complete community college. In that time, I met my husband, and in true military fashion, within a year, we were married.
Exactly. There you go. And then the rest is history.
But the rest is history.
But this is why I love you. And I love that you're on the podcast, because I also want to get to know you more. But for our viewers out there, when we're talking about luxury travel and you're working with advisors, or you're looking to have a trip planned and curated, these are the type of people that are planning your trips. And I do feel like with you, you bring such a beautiful story, and just your expertise and just everything that you've lived is so very unique that, obviously there's a lot of travel advisors who cannot say all of those things that you just did, military wife overseas in Italy. And I mean, all of that is just such a beautiful introduction to what you do, but it also solidifies why someone should work with you for these type of experiences, which I absolutely love. And let's not, before we dive into Spain, I just want to point out the stripes today were not planned. So
no,
I love it, but we're rocking the stripes today. So with that being said, let's talk all about this destination. I want to know everything about wine country Spain. I want our listeners, the luxury brands out there, and potential clients, and just people who love travel in general. Tell us all the things. So take it away. I'm so excited.
So I definitely want to start with the fact that for me at X-Plora, it's super important that I work with locals wherever I'm going.
100%.
So if you're booking with me, most likely we are going to choose a smaller hotel that is not a chain. I love those, sometimes not always 5 stars, sometimes 4 stars, sometimes 5 star, but are run by families. And there's just, a history behind the brand, basically a local brand. And it's the same thing with the tour guides. Or the DMCs of wherever I'm working. So last year I went, and I'm not have to say this part because how I met them was just funny. I traveled to the World Travel Market in London last year. So it's like 86 countries presenting, and each country has their own setup, and they bring, transportation, tour guides, tour operators, just everything in one huge expo, which for us travel advisors, when we want to make those connections, that is so important. But, I had booked back to back because I wanted to do as much as possible on the 3 days that I was going to do there. And this one guy kept sort of messaging me on the app, because the World Travel Market does that. It's like, I have this trip for you. We have to meet. But I already had all my time scheduled. And by the time I had a minute, I stopped by and they were already gone. Well, that was it. And then just, when I was looking at my 2026 and 2027 group calendar, because I do small groups as well, I thought of him. And, I looked him up and I said, hey, we were supposed to meet in London. It didn't happen. Well, his name is Gaisca, and he runs Basque Landers in Basque Country, northern Spain. And, with his friend Carlos, and they were just fantastic. And we had one meeting, and when you just connect with those people and you're speaking the same language, and it's like, we have to work together. And he's like, I knew the moment I saw your website, even before we met, that we needed to work together.
I love that.
Because we love everything good food and good wine, and your target audience is exactly who we want to work with. So, and of course, Spain is so big, and it's the number 2 country with the most tourism right after Italy.
I mean, I think it's astounding. People don't realize it. And it's it's very much like Italy, where one city or one area is completely different from the next. So you can travel even 3 towns, and they're all different. And the next time you come, you got to go to 3 different towns, right? That are completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, most of the tourism concentrates in southern Spain, which you still have, great food, great wine, and, some of beautiful, the Mandarin Oriental in Barcelona, it's gorgeous. Ooh, yeah. But there's also so many little hotels and so many experiences that you can do outside the city of Barcelona, outside the city of Madrid. Yep. I just had a couple travel Barcelona and Madrid. And in Madrid, I send them on a day tour with a sommelier to see the wineries outside Madrid. So you don't even really have to go that far to experience that.
No. And I think on that note, real quick for the listeners, I think it's important for travelers to understand you don't have to leave your hotel. Like, don't unpack once or twice. We can get you to those experiences a lot of time where we're staying in Madrid or Barcelona, as you mentioned. But guess what? We can do a beautiful bespoke day trip right outside, and then you never have to unpack. And I think some clients don't realize that, and they're trying to logistically plan these smaller areas, but logistically it might get complicated and it becomes more stressful. We want to make everything beautiful and less stress. So on that note, yes, I agree completely with those experiences right outside the walls sometimes. For sure.
And I'm sure this has happened to you as well, that and I'm starting to realize the more I do curated personal travel instead of the group travel that I started with, is that so much of what we do, it's educational too.
So much. 100%. Yep.
When people are like, 100%. Well, I want to see all of Italy in 10 days.
No, you don't. Trust me. I'll do it if you're going to force me to do it. Like, I'll do the best I can if you're set, but education 100% every day. And especially with like wine country Spain, because I do feel like it is a little bit like people don't really know what they're getting themselves into. They don't really know the best way. Like I personally, it's not one of my fortes. I book Spain all the time, but it's not something that I'm exactly well versed in. So I think it's important to have people like you that know exactly like, this is what we need to do. And this is the way to make it 100% the best experience for the client. For sure.
And like we were saying, it's a lot about this experiences, right? And that's what I loved about Gaisca and Carlos, that they're local. They grew up there. Gaisca was actually in the wine business for a very long time. He spent some time in UC Davis getting a master's in, wine business. And when he returned to Basque Country, he just realized all of this, wine tourism that was growing. And, him and Carlos just wanted to be a part of it. And this is when they started their company. And specifically, everybody's very familiar with Rioja wines. And they're very much sold all over the world. But what I didn't know too is that Rioja, it's 3 different places. And there's it's Rioja Baja, Rioja Alta, which is high or low, and then Rioja Alavesa. Rioja Alavesa is the only part of Rioja that it's not within the Rioja region. It's within Basque Country.
I see.
So their wines are a little bit different than the other 2 Riojas. And then Basque Country also has this wine that I had heard of it, but I had never tasted it before. And it's called Txakoli. Txakoli is this... it's almost like a Sauvignon Blanc-ish, like citrusy, with a very, very light fizz. It's not a bubble. It's not a cava. It's not a Prosecco.
Perfect. It's 9 a.m. here. Why didn't we pour wine for this podcast at 9 a.m.?
I had a bottle in my refrigerator, but it's a little too early.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
And it has this really light fizz and... Txakoli as a grape, as a wine, it almost died in I think it was like the 1800s.
Okay.
When all the wineries and Italy and France and Spain, basically they got this bug, right, that they brought from the Americas. They don't know where in the Americas it came from, but it killed their vines, literally obliterated most of the vines all over. And Txakoli country at the time had, I think, 100,000 hectares of plantation. But right now there's only about 100,000 left, or sorry, 1,000 left.
Wow.
So it's definitely something that they've been regrowing. And Txakoli actually comes from the word of what's left. It's only for the house, because the way that the north of Spain was set up, the big lords didn't have huge spaces.
Right.
Because the north of Spain, it's basically two tectonic plates that crashed into each other, the Iberian Peninsula and the European. So they crashed. So they ended up kind of like this. So all the vines are planted up. And in Txakoli country, they face the ocean, which gives the Txakoli this like salty, beautiful taste to it. And it's so hard to find here. There are a couple of people that bring it to the state of Florida, importers. But here in town, for those that are listening to locally, Carrera Wine Cellar in St. Augustine carries Txakoli.
Ooh, I need to go. Is it date night tonight? Because...
Right? They carry the bottle, and then, they'll put it in cold for you so you can bring it home already cold. I love them. They are wonderful. And so, it's not an easy grape to find.
Okay.
But the particular trip that I'm working on right now, it starts in Bilbao. The city of Bilbao has, the Guggenheim, and there's just so much history there to be seen. We are also going to be visiting Guernica. Everybody knows Guernica because of Picasso's paint.
Yes.
After, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So the town of Guernica has every single Monday of the month this market, right?
Okay.
Except for October. October is the big month of the market. And then they do it the first Monday of the month and the last Monday of the month.
Okay.
The last Monday of the month is not just farmers market, but that's when they bring their animals to, when, they're bringing the cows to sell, the pigs. So it's this whole just true span. You want to know, Basque Country? You go to Guernica for their last Monday of the month in October.
Wow.
So this particular trip that we're working on with them, it's going to be the last week of October until the beginning of November. And it includes these amazing experiences
that you would never find. I mean, you have to work with somebody like us who have these connections to be able to create this type of a trip, for sure.
I know that a lot of people are like, well, I can ask AI. I'm sorry, ChatGPT cannot give you what we just did.
No, and even above that, it's like, like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, like, you're an expert in this. Like, there's other travel advisors who don't know anything about this either. But it's like you said, it's those relationships that you make, and boom, now we have in our back pocket this beautiful experience and a way to curate something that you would never, ever be able to find. And when we talk about luxury, it's not always a dollar sign. We're not saying, oh, this is going to be over the top expensive. No, these are real curated experiences that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. And I'm ready to sign up with you just for that experience. Like we'll put all the links to, your partners that you mentioned just for people to look. Like, we'll have all of that in the show notes for sure, because I'm sure people are going to want to look into these towns and the festival or anything that you've mentioned, because it's just so interesting to me. Oh my gosh. Keep talking. Tell us all the things. I'm loving this.
When we're, like I mentioned, Guy Scout used to work at the wineries, and then, he was the president of the Association of Wineries right there in Basque Country. He's done YouTube videos, and he's been on television, telling people about where he's from and what him and Carlos do together. I go in this group trip. I lead the group, and Guy Sky is with us the whole time.
Right.
So we're having someone, and it for him is very important too, that people know that he's the one that opens those doors. Like we are working with him because he has that key.
Exactly.
And you may be able to go to that restaurant, but you know what? You're not going to walk back to the kitchen to have the owner of the restaurant show you what he's making, how he's making it,
100%.
and tell you why they make it the way they make it.
That's
exactly
what I mean? Right. Oh my God. And that is luxury right there. That
Absolutely.
is luxury. 100%.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you. And it's those relationships that matter for sure. Yeah.
So the region of Basque Country in Spain is the region in the world with the most Michelin stars.
Ah, wow.
They take their food very seriously. And I know every single chef that has had a show on television has done a day or a show in San Sebastian. You can, all of them, Anthony Bourdain is my favorite one because he's the bad boy
of course,
travel and cooking. But they've all done a tour, a show in San Sebastian.
Okay.
And we're going to get to go to San Sebastian, walk around from bar to bar they don't call it tapas, they call it pinchos.
Okay.
And try, different pinchos at different places. And again, opening those doors to those people that are there.
Wow.
I'm keeping the group super small, 8 people, because in order to live those experiences, and this is where the luxury experience comes along. Like you said, it's not always that money attached, the cost attached to it. This is an investment on an experience on.
Right. You're not just going to Spain. Like that's not what's happening.
You're not.
No.
You're not going to Spain.
Exactly.
I mean, we can, and I love to, I feel like you also have to plan a little bit of the touristy because it's touristy for a reason.
It's beautiful. It's all worth a visit for sure. Right.
The Colosseum is the Colosseum.
Yeah, exactly.
Park Well in Barcelona is Park Well because it's magical to go there and it's done beautifully. All the Dali houses in La Sagrada Familia, if you're in Sevilla to go, see where the bull runs are, all that. Yes, it's touristy,
right?
But it's part of their history. The Alhambra, it's packed with tourists all the time.
Yeah.
But you cannot visit southern Spain and not go to Granada and not see the Alhambra.
Yep. 100%.
It's about that, the fact that we curate these experiences to the particular client. I had a client recently say, well, my husband and I are not big fans of museums. Then, of course, I was like, they were going to Paris. The Louvre is a must see. Right. You have to see it. It's huge and it's going to take you all day if you wanted to see the whole thing. Pick your favorite pieces that you think you want to see. Go see that and then leave. Yeah. But it's a must-see. And no one is going to tell you, oh, you only do the touristy stuff. You went to the Louvre.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's true. And with Italy, it's the same. I mean, I obviously book Italy every single day, but like I do ask clients, like, have you always wanted to see the Vatican? Because if you don't, I think we can skip it because there is a place in a certain person that may or may not want to go to the Vatican. I personally don't, if you're not interested in that, no, we don't need to, we can skip that. The Colosseum, I'm like, you know what? You don't have to do the tour inside, but you need to go to the Colosseum. Like, at least let's stop and take the selfie at least. But if you're like you said, the museums, like if a client is not, they're like, I don't care about the history. I don't need to see the inside. I just want to see the outside. We try to meet you where you're at. But of course, there's certain things that it's like, well, you have to go. And I think that's so true for Spain because I think Spain is very underrated for sure. It's coming back. It's trending again. Like you said, like it's number 2. But it is still, I feel like very underrated and people think, oh, I'm just going to go to Barcelona and just walk around and this and that, but they're missing so much that when you work with someone like us, we're like, well, you need to do this or you need to see that. So for your small group, for this wine country trip that you're doing, tell us about like the trek. Like, where are you starting? Where are you ending?
So we're starting and ending we're starting in Bilbao and we're ending in San Sebastian.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, because with Bilbao, it allows us to see, where the Txakoli is and Guernica and visit the town of Bilbao. And then we are going to end up in San Sebastian, where, and of course, we are going through Rioja as well.
Okay.
But we are ending in San Sebastian. And the last day, and, of course, I'm there to, if you want to book a surfing class on the last day, because the waves are really popular in San Sebastian.
Right, of course.
Or if you want to book, we have a couple of people that may want to do a cooking class. We can book you a cooking class on that last day in San Sebastian. But the last day will really be for people to enjoy themselves. Okay. I'm there for help and for anything that they need. But for example, throughout the whole trip, all the breakfasts and all the lunches are included. Yeah. Dinners are not included. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Spanish lunches don't start until 2 p.m. And they usually don't end until like 4:35. Yep. So you're not going to make it back to your hotel probably any night before 5:30, 6 p.m. Right. And still with a belly full of food from all the food that we've had 100%. At lunch. Yep. So it's going to give you a chance to say, you know what, I may not want to have a huge dinner, but I'm going to go downstairs and have, a little glass of wine or a caña of beer. They drink their beer in little glasses just about this big and they call them cañas.
I love it.
And I'll just do that. That's all I need. A caña and a couple of pinchos, or you know what? I'm exhausted. I just want to go to bed, or I just want to be alone in my room and read a book. Yeah.
Or just go to the local, if there's anything local or at the hotel, like you said, just grab something, maybe even a room service, depending on your hotel. Exactly.
Yeah. Just to have that alone time. I don't like trips that are first or group trips. This is personal, and that's why I don't book them that way. Because I've taken 27 people across countries in airports, and I've taken 40 people on a bus from Naples to Tuscany for a concert, and every evolution of like getting the bus, getting off the bus, going to this one time.
The clipboard, you got the clipboard. Yeah.
And everybody, and people sometimes don't arrive on time, and here you are waiting.
It puts a whole group, right? Yeah.
You miss that sort of personalized intimate flow of a smaller group trip. Yeah. And to me, that is part of that luxury experience.
100%. I love it. And I love too that you mentioned like the lunches taking so long and like being so much food. And I don't think people realize a lot how when Europe, it's a lot of food, and you need to kind of budget that time even for like a lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like it can go like, I remember one time in Milan, we just thought we were going to be getting like one of the pizzas and wine. Like it wasn't even really a meal. We were just sitting outside in Brera, and 3 hours later, it's like, but that's what Europe's all about. And I know Spain for sure, where it's like, this is part of your experience to be able to people watch, like to just sit there, enjoy, have conversations with your loved one, like enjoy fresh air, just enjoy the food, have another glass of wine. And just 3 hours later, you're just biting on a pizza. Like that's it. You know what I mean? But like, sometimes those are the best parts of the trip. It really is. And yeah, I love all the things that you're mentioning. And so when you're so how many of these group trips do you do, and do you try to change them around? I know we're talking about Spain today, but like that's that one, but I know you do quite a few, and you hit a couple other areas. You kind of pre-plan those far out, obviously, as far as the times, right? Yeah.
So this year I have my women only series that I name Women Who Wonder. And this year is Bali. And we're going in September. I have 7 spots left for that trip.
Okay. Nice.
And that one is a couple of days longer just because Bali is so far away.
Of course.
And so we're going for 10 days, 9 nights.
Wow.
That one does require a little bit more movement because we're seeing Bali's so big and each city so different. Yeah. So we are going through 3 different cities.
Wow.
And that one, like I mentioned, it's women only. And it includes, all of your breakfast. I believe it's 4 or 5 lunches, a cooking class, a 90-minute beach massage. massage on our last resort. And that one, I would say it's definitely all 5-star hotels. It's my mission to allow women the space to just relax and be themselves. You're not mom, you're not daughter, you are just Vanessa for, for
10
the week.
days,
And Vanessa has someone who said, I really want to shop for those cute, Bali dresses or where do I go? And I am there to say, these stores are this far away. Let's arrange you a taxi. If you feel adventurous, we'll get you a scooter driver and you'll get to ride in the back and someone is going to take you to places you want to go. And they're little scooters because they get you there faster.
I know.
And so, and if we're going to have a spa day and all that, I'm there to take care of everything for you. Right now, I have a mother-daughter duo already sign up.
Oh my gosh.
Adult daughter.
Of course.
And who's getting married next year. And this is kind of their last.
Like her last,
Yes. And mom, it's mom's birthday. It's a big birthday too. I have, another woman who's going alone. And it's that thing of I've had such a year and I just need time for myself. That one is also, that one is 10 people. So that one is a little bit bigger. But none of my group trips are more than 10, 14 at the most, really depending on whether I feel like the country can hold, where we're going can support that many. Those
because groups. In Europe, obviously transportation, logistics, we don't want, you don't want that big bus, right? And we don't want to drive it if we don't have to, we don't want to take you in that, especially in Italy and probably in Spain as well. So smaller groups, more intimate logistically, and it's just easier, more luxurious. You can get a better car for your clients versus, we need to get this big bus or shuttle. That makes sense. And so for the wine country, it's couples or adults. So you take single.
Adult, yes.
Okay.
Adults or couples or groups of, 3 girlfriends that want to go together.
Anyone, just fine. As long as they're adults. So you have single or double occupancy options or even triple or?
So Spain does have triple occupancy. It's not that many. So if anybody, it's sort of a first comes, first serve. If you have a group of 3 that want to do it, it's more limited. I think in the United States, our idea of hotels is so different than other countries.
Education. We have to educate our clients all the time on that one. Yep. For sure.
Even the Middle East with, I lived in the Middle East for 7 years and I got to see, this level of luxury that you see in Dubai, you see in Oman. I mean, the Ritz-Carlton in Oman used to be a palace.
Insane.
So, when you're selling that on one side and then you're going to another, perhaps 5-star hotel in France and you go, this room is the size of my bathroom in the United States. And it's a 5-star hotel.
Exactly.
So, those accommodations can be done. But again, those are always going to depend on where we're traveling. I have my calendar for 2027 will be out in August. I like giving the chance for people to make payments. It just doesn't feel like you have to pay right now. And so I like giving people a chance to do that. Women Who Wonder in 2027 is to Morocco. So I'm really excited about that one. I have a trip to Chile to do wine country and then the Atacama Desert in April. And I have a couple more things here and there coming up.
I mean, you're traveling almost monthly for these trips almost. I mean, it seems like a handful a year for sure.
So for this year's only 2 for 2027. I'll have a couple more. This year I've just been lucky to do a lot of personal travel. I spent some time in Denmark and Finland, got to see the Northern Lights.
I know. I was like, I'm so jealous.
and I have a family trip to Egypt in November. Nice. Even though I've been there, this is the first time we're going there as a family. So I'm excited about that one.
Now, when it's like a couple situation or adults, does your husband ever come with you just to be does he come with you ever? Or are you like, nope, I'm working. This is where do you stand with that?
He used to when we lived in Italy. He used to when we lived in Italy, and I had larger groups, and but it was usually the ones that were more family trips. So my child and my husband would come along.
I love that.
So but it's on some days, like the day before we fly out, I have to make sure everybody's checked in on it. So I'm checking in 27 people onto a flight. Wow. So I don't have a lot of time to like, let's go outside and play.
Right. You can't chit chat or talk to him or have like free time. No. So it logistically doesn't make sense. Yeah.
No, on these smaller ones, I go alone. Yeah. But it's just for me, that intimacy between and that connection that I need to build with my group, with my guests. It's
your
very
partners,
important.
The tour, your
and my
boots
tour
on
partners.
The ground, right?
So I don't want like kind of personal time to take away from that.
Conflicted, right?
When I was in Italy, it was I had a team of people that was working with me too. Right. I had a team of 4 Italians that taught me so much about, between the 4 of them, they had like 100 years of tourism industry combined. Wow. So that piece, obviously I had more support.
Of course.
So it was different.
Yeah.
But now that is just
you're taking it all on, and it's a lot, and you want to get it right for sure. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Oh my gosh. So, okay. What other like unique experience will be happening when you guys are doing that group wine country tour? Is there anything you didn't mention that you guys will be doing that might pique the interest of everyone?
I think the biggest pieces of the most intimate experiences that we're going to be having there, in my opinion, are the 2 visits to the wineries. Okay. One in Rioja, and then the other one to go visit the Txakoli winery. And it's because we have Gaisca that comes with us. So in Rioja, we're talking about being able to taste bottles of wine that are 300, 500 euro. Wow. Bottles of wine that are going to be open that, are not open for anybody, that are not imported to the United States. This is their private collection. Wow. And unless you have that relationship, who's going to open that bottle of wine for you?
No.
And that's, that's, to me, that is luxury right there.
So, and I'm getting chills because I'm thinking like, oh my gosh. So if you are a wine lover and you love travel, like this is where you need to go. Like this sounds like, this is one of the areas that definitely needs to be on someone's radar as far as like experiencing like some really, really extreme and bespoke wine experiences that they're not going to find anywhere else, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the whole history of Basque Country is just so interesting. And, they have one of the oldest languages in the world. And they still speak it. Wow. They still speak it. And, they speak it in there, and then like 2 smaller areas right there in the border with France, that language is still spoken. And I feel like that the history of Alai, and I don't know if you've seen them play. We'll actually also be able to do that during the trip. Gosh. We're going to go watch them play. We're going to learn how to play. We'll able to don some helmets and the basket and give it a whack to see if we can we can figure it out. So all that, to me, it's just a rich history. Now, the Guggenheim in Bilbao, the history of Guernica. So when Gaisca was telling me about this, Mondays of the market, the attack in Guernica was on a Monday because they figured they could hit, oh my God, I get chills just thinking about it.
Everyone would be there.
Figured they could hit the most amount of people at one time.
Wow.
So all that and getting that locals perspective is so rich. Just that experience is so rich to me. Yeah. Being able to pick someone's brain that lives there and, carries that with them. To me, it's just
special. It's
priceless.
That's why I do what I do. 100%, because I love exactly all the things you just mentioned as far as connecting with the locals, the people who this is their history. This is everything that they've lived, their family, everything that's their everyday life. And I think that's like one aspect of travel that I think a lot of people, I hate to say it, but a lot of Americans too, when they say they want to go overseas and they want to go to these cool places, they're not understanding they're missing a very large piece of it. And unless they get involved with someone like you or myself, where we're like, but wait, I really want you to feel this trip. Like, wait, let's slow down. You know what I mean? Like, let's make this really beautiful, because I do think a lot of people do not realize how much this will impact your core memories for the rest of your life. It could change your worldview. It could change your faith. It could change. There's so much. I mean, I can't even count the amount of times where I've come home from Europe and it's like, you just transform when you're there. And not everybody's going to be touched like that. They could even go on your beautiful trip. I feel like some people, it's just not in them to feel that. But I feel like that is the most important thing in the world when it comes to travel. And I mean, I get chills thinking about it because, like you said, like learning the history of why they would do it on that day, because everybody's there. Just to be able to talk to somebody who can live those memories, and it's in their history, it's in their DNA, is priceless. And my hope is always, even if somebody doesn't think that would interest them, or they're like, no, I just want to see the bucket list. I just want to go. I want the beautiful hotel. I want to do the selfies. But my hope is that they go into the trip thinking that's what they want, but then they're texting me like, I'm in tears. You were right. I get it. And that, to me, and I have texts of clients doing that, like, it didn't make sense to me when you were telling me I was going to cry. It never made sense to me when I would feel it in my heart. But then they're texting me mid-trip like, nope, now I got it. I thought you were crazy. I really thought I have a crazy travel advisor who cries every time she goes to Europe. And here I am. I finally got it. And your trip and everything that you just talked about with this wine country is exactly what my goal is every single day with clients. Even if they are just going to the Colosseum, like, we can still have those experiences, even with just the basic must do things, but it's always our joy. And I know you and I have that same mindset. We really want you to feel things. We want you to experience it. And one other question though, before I forget, because again, I'm 50, right? So it's like, I got to ask because I'm dying to know. So when you're talking about Basque Country and all of the juicy wine details that are up there, right? Like, it's a place we need to have on our list. If somebody came to you tomorrow and was like, we love wine, we want to do your suggestion for Spain, but what about Southern France? Is that something that we could curate into a trip with wine country in Southern France combined with Northern Spain wine country? Is that something that you would recommend? Have you done that? Is it a comparison? Is it do one time, do one the next? Or is it something we could beautifully create together?
I think what really happens to me oftentimes is that, the clients that I work mostly are not retired yet. And
right.
They cannot take as much time off.
Those 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Italians have 4 weeks of vacation a year, and then some.
Yep.
My family in Chile, they're like, how are you going to go to Bali for 10 days? That's a 20-day trip. Well, you know what? But my clients are here in the United States, a majority of them. Mm-hmm. The clients that are not in the United States, I plan their trips to come to the United States.
Right.
And they just don't have the time to, do 2 or 3 countries with a good pace. Mm-hmm. Can I do it in 10 days? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We can.
Right.
You just be prepared for, you may have to move hotels a couple of times, pack on the lighter side. Let's pick a time of the year where, your airports and your hotels are going to be off season, maybe shoulder season. Of course, there are places in the world where shoulder season now it's almost non-existent. I don't have to tell you about
It's like Disney World. Let's be honest. Back in the day, there were slow days in Disney World. I use that as an example. There is no slow days in Disney World, and that's becoming Europe too, where it's like I had more clients going to Italy in March than ever ever this year. It was insane because it's just getting pushed and pushed and pushed. So yeah,
I have two couples getting into Rome from a cruise in a couple of days. And, we booked them all private tours. But my biggest piece was, I want you to take the time and relax because there might be a moment where you're going to get overwhelmed by the amount of tourists. We booked a hotel really close to the Trevi Fountain in the Spanish Steps. Okay. It's like, one day you're going to need to get up at 6 a.m. to go see the Trevi Fountain. Even if you come back to your hotel, have another coffee and get in bed. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But one day you're going to have to get up early because I want you to experience these things because it can be overwhelming for some people.
It is. Oh yeah, especially in the summer for sure. But yeah, I agree. But yeah, so and that's a good point too about the trip length and checking boxes, because I know there's a lot of clients who are I want to do Southern France. I want to do Northern Spain. I want to hit it all. And sometimes it does make sense for clients if they have more time and a bigger budget, obviously, because more time cost, obviously. But, I like to educate and kind of walk clients off the plank sometimes where you're kind of let's do this instead, or we can do it your way. I'm happy to pencil, we can figure this out. I can logistically do it, but it's going to look like this. Let's shave a couple days off. You don't even need to go for 10 days. Let's do 7 nights, boots on the ground, and focus on that one region and be in and out. But you're going to have a beautiful, more paced, more local immersion versus living out of your luggage, never unpacking, and just kind of going and going. We can always do it for clients, but, yeah. I even have honeymoon clients right now who they have a beautifully planned trip in Italy, but she's texting me we're so tired. They still have one destination that they're ending 3 days in Milan, and they're we're so tired. And I'm yeah, because you started with the wedding festivities in Lake Como, and it was high stress, high anxiety because now you got to look beautiful for the photographer. You've got the little ceremony, and that they started with that. And even though it was paced well, it still can feel like a lot to clients, I think. And I think the other thing too is it's so much to take in, and in a good way, right? In a good way. It's a lot of food. It's a lot of eating, a lot of talking, a lot of experiencing, learning, especially when you're doing something like you're talking about in the wine country. You're learning all of these things. It is a lot. It can take a mental toll on people, even in a good way, if that makes sense. So you do want to have, go to bed early tonight. We don't have to be out late. Like you said, you don't need to eat a dinner at 10 p.m. tonight. Just have some snacks and go to bed, have a nice hot shower. So I do feel like that is such good advice. And especially when you're working with a specialist like yourself who knows what she's doing in those local areas, you really want to listen to or me, but because we want you to, we've been there. Number one, we've done the hurried trips. We've done the action packed trips. We've done the slow luxury trips. So we kind of can, we mean it when we say it's going to look this way or it's going to look that way. You choose. I'll be happy to do either one. And we try to push the clients towards a more slow luxury type trip, which exactly is your wine trip, obviously. So, oh my goodness. Okay. I could talk to you forever, but I know, our listeners and our viewers don't have forever to listen to us. We'll have to just have you back on. But just one last question, and we've touched on it so many times, but in your personal experience, so not about your wine trip, not about your clients, when you personally think about luxury travel, what does that feel like to you?
So I was thinking about it, right? Because I knew you were going to ask. It's simple, but decadent. Why is it simple? It's simple because it was, for me, when I planned my own it was planned flawlessly. It was planned with intention, and it feels decadent. Sometimes you can have something simple, and I'm not a sweets person, but something as silly as a donut, but it's just in the right place, in the right context, with the right people. And all of a sudden that donut just tastes 300 times better.
Wow.
And that, to me, that experience, that feeling in my heart during a trip somewhere, to me, that's luxury.
Oh my gosh. We are like the same person for sure. Definitely. But again, it's because we're peers in the industry. And that's what, I mean, my hope for my clients or any travelers out there is that you are working with somebody who is that passionate. I think, because there's so many travel advisors out there that they are just checking boxes and it is a transaction. This is not transactional. And that's why I love having you in my life, because you are another industry peer who we have the same mindset, right? And so your answer was perfect. Oh my gosh, I can't even. So amazing. I love it. We'll have to do a pull quote. That was perfect. Beautifully said. Oh my gosh. So we will have to have you back on, because I feel like there's just so much. You're just such a gem in the industry. And so, of course, I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. And I want to thank the listeners. And if today's conversation has you dreaming about wine country in Spain, obviously, of course, all the notes and how to contact Josefina will be in the show notes, and obviously reach out to her. We will also tag any relevant websites mentioned, or even cities or towns, or maybe even the festival. We'll try to put everything in the show notes, that way everybody can kind of look into that and kind of learn more about it. And then, of course, reach out, obviously. And then I do have a special note. If you have not subscribed to the magazine, Maison Voyage, definitely I have a promo for all podcast subscribers. Will also be in the show notes. So definitely make sure you get your quarterly subscription. And then obviously, thank you so much again. And thank you for listening to Maison Voyage podcast. Until next time, keep being inspired by the places, people, and experiences that make luxury travel feel truly unforgettable. So we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.